How do you feel about the police?
How long do I have for that?
I have a dream. My four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Stop and frisk, that's when they stop individuals and like maybe they're suspicious, police officers may be suspicious of them having some involvement with drug or some type of illegal activity.
Yeah.
That's what I believe it is.
Okay.
It seems that they're racially targeting minorities specifically. I mean, I know the rate statistically, minorities get stopped a hell of a lot more than non-minorities.
Tell me what you think of stop and frisk.
Well, I've never personally or any of my friends been stopped and frisked before, but I feel like that, I mean, it is needed, the system, but I just feel like a lot of people do take advantage of it because there are a lot of, you know, racial differences and stereotypes around, and of course it will always be around, and of course so that's why it happens, but I think that the world will be a better place if ideally they do have the stop and frisk but without the stereotypes.
It's a terrible policy that violates several rights. It should be immediately stopped and not practiced, and anything that happens to the police or the mayor as a result of this policy, as far as lawsuits, fuck yeah, sue the police.
Well, I know what they said stop and frisk is the way they get to catch guys with gun and so on.
Well, my understanding of stop and frisk is, well, me, since I'm Latino, my understanding is I just walk down the street and a cop stops me, searches me, and uses an excuse of I look like a description, which has happened to me before. So,
How many times have you been stopped?
there's been a few instances I've been stopped, not so much in Manhattan, but mostly in Brooklyn because that's where a lot of crime takes place. I would say since this stop and frisk has become a big media situation, whatever, I've been stopped at least 5 times.
And did they give you like a good reason for them stopping you?
No, well, one time a reason was they stopped me because I had a juice in a brown paper bag, and they thought I was sipping liquor, which I didn't think that called for a frisk, but they frisked me anyways.
I know that the police are being trained more like military soldiers than actually cops. They're extremely aggressive, and more and more the reports of them violating citizens' rights and being physically violent with them, and I think it's disgraceful.
On stop and frisk. Well, I don't have much experience with it. I've never been stopped and frisked, but I guess in theory it does kind of make some kind of sense, but I think it can easily turn into an escalated problem with the law enforcement because it's kind of like a random search on people that are just walking around, but at the same time I feel like what are they actually, stopping and frisk based on? Like, is it based on maybe race? It's like such a vague, law. So that's my opinion.
I worked for an organization called PROP, Police Reform Organizing Project, and I worked for a portion of that organization that was focused on recording anecdotes of people who had been, generally the victims of sort of police malfeasance, and mostly this was in the form of stop and frisk. I don't remember what the specific impetus was, other than I disagree with the policy. Stop and frisk? It's totally ineffective. It's completely and utterly and blatantly racist. And yeah.
And first,
No. No, I assume that I probably might look suspicious to police at times. I'm frequently drunk in public. For work, I often carry around very large, suspicious-looking packages, and yet no, I have never been subject to stop and frisk.
I would ask, oh, do you think it's because you're
White, yes, almost certainly.
Respect our authorities, the police in a sense, but police today and police back when, they're not the same. It's not the same because they do not project the persona of someone who will help the young people, that will kind of guide them.
If I was ever stopped first, I would be like, hey, like, what's my problem? It's like I would like doubt myself. Well, not even doubt. I would like think to myself like, oh, is there something wrong with me? Like, and try to rethink myself. Like, oh, am I wearing something, or like, do I look like I'm high or something? I don't know. Like, I would just revalue myself. I guess reevaluate. Yeah.
Have you ever been stopped personally?
No.
Okay.
I'm white.
Have you ever been stopped?
Yes.
Okay. How did it make you feel? Can you elaborate more on your experience?
Harassed and belittled. It was in my hometown where young people are profiled. It's a college town. And I was stopped just for being alone on the street at 3 a.m. They questioned me extensively, and they kept me out on the cold, like on a 20-degree night, for a couple hours. Well, they detained me for no reason. There's lovely statistics about police violence that can be easily Googled. Pretty much every week the police are killing civilians, many of them unarmed. Many of them are armed, but regardless, police violence and the proportionality of their response to crime, it's pretty fucking outrageous right now, and only getting worse.
I interviewed a lot of people that were essentially direct victims of inappropriate searches and so on, including I remember the mother of I think it was 6-year-old kid. No, he wasn't 6. He was like he was 12, and I guess he looked a little older, and he actually had guns drawn on him and everything right in front of his elementary school. Essentially, it was pretty bonkers. I wish I could remember more details of the story. But yeah, and I interviewed a lot of transsexual prostitutes that also had some both sort of overly invasive searches and some sexual assaults that they had to deal with. So it most certainly happens where even if you agreed with the policy, its implementation, is still there's still violations that take place above and beyond that.
Are there any places that you are afraid or feel uneasy going to by yourself? Any neighborhoods, areas?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Are there any places you are afraid or feel uneasy about being at by yourself?
I wouldn't go into a park. Like,
So I think when it comes down to it, it's not even about ethnicity or even race, or even, it's just about stereotypes, because I feel like if people think you're a certain way, or like maybe it's just being biased even, that like for example, like if you're a college girl and then even if you study really hard or whatever, if your professors even may see that you're pretty and like, you know, you have a lot of friends and you're sociable, and they may think that, you know, you're a slacker or something, and or like in comparison to the girl sitting next to you who's wearing glasses and like, you know, who seems to study very hard, but she's actually, you know, party going, doesn't study at all, and then, you know, your professor may give her the higher grade or just even like buy her story more, you know, when she gives her excuses. So yeah,
It definitely angers a lot of people who are.
I don't know. I wouldn't say. I would be surprised if it directly increased crime. It certainly directly increases racial enmity.
Because gun control comes from the top. The people that are on the bottom are just the little people. The people at the top in government, people who have the money, are controlling this. So the people that you're arresting really is just, they could just get another person and stick them out in the street. Okay? But the gun, you cannot really control something that you can't reach. Because who you're looking at, they're not the people, they are not the entities that control the guns. You're looking at, there's an invisible force that's in government, that the part of America that is hidden, that nobody seems to can reach. So if you can't reach the source, you're not going to be able to control what's on your level. You know what I'm saying? You really can't.
What would you do to create a safer society? Since you obviously don't feel like Stop and Frisk does anything for what it's supposed to do.
I think that trying to create a safer society, you need prison reform, you need more rehabilitation, not to warehouse people. You need better education, you need a better approach towards poverty, towards homelessness, towards drug abuse. Mm-hmm. We need to take out the root causes and stop trying to just throw prison cells at these symptoms.